Guys, this is Banjo, and today we will be bringing you a green blues kill la kill deck. So onto the profile. So here we run 3 of this Ragyo, Satskey's mother. Really good card to have, especially when you go first. So when you have no other characters in the front row, this card gains 1,500. Really good. She will be a 4K attack if you obviously don't have anything else. Good to play first turn. Maybe sometimes you don't have any cards to play, so you only have this, so you can just leave it in the middle and it'll become big. If you have the generic 500 boosters behind it, you can potentially make this a 5K, which is really good. But usually it's used in the beginning. Next, I run 4 of this Screaming Satskey. So what Screaming Satskey does is when she comes into play, you can look at the top card of your library, and if it's a cloth character or character with clothes, she gains a 2K boost. So if you get it right, she will be at 4-5 with the boosters in the back. She can hit up to 5-5. Climax 6-5. Whoa, she becomes huge. Also, the good thing about this is since you look at the top card of your deck, when you play like the level 1 event I run in here, or if you want to like brainstorm and you see that there's a climax on top, you can obviously just brainstorm so you don't put it into stock. Pretty good card to have, becomes huge for a turn. Yeah. So next we run 2 of this Satskey Brainstormer. What this Satskey Brainstormer does is if your opponent has 2 or fewer cards in the front row, this card gains a 1K boost. So it can actually attack because it can hit, if your opponent only has 2 or fewer, this card becomes a 3K. Boosted, it can become a 4K, which is pretty big. So like if you don't have anything else to attack with, you can also attack with this. The other thing is it's a brainstormer, so it's the drawing brainstorm. So you pay 1, rest 2 of your characters, mill 4, and for any climaxes you get to draw a card. Pretty good. Next, I run 3 of the muckle worries. This booster is really good. Not only is it the global 500 booster for cloth and family, it also has the ability that whatever is in the middle of the front row gains. This card cannot be chosen as a target of your opponent's effects. So like if your opponent gets a bounce, like if your opponent bounces stuff, or if your opponent has random effects where they try to like choose your monsters and stuff to try to get rid of them, this card just allows you to say no. And also, since I run a lot of stuff with that gains markers under them, this card becomes scary because then your opponent can't get rid of those big monsters you have or characters. It's good. Let's see, next we run 2 of this guy. His name is like so complicated. But basically what he does is if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, he gains 1K power. So if it's your first turn or something and you just play this, he'll be at 3K. Not much to say. It's just there for tech, I guess, or it's just in there. Because he also has the ability that this card gains X power, and X is 2K times the level of the character facing this. So if you have 5 cards in your hand and you're fighting a level 2, then he'll be at like 7, and if he's boosted he'll be at 8, and maybe with the climax he'll hit 9. So if you get lucky, sometimes you can kill something with this, but for most parts it's just there for being there. So yep. So next, on to level 1s. So I want run 1 of these green level 1 punches. The reason I run this is sometimes my opponent kills a character by like a few points. Since this is a free 1-5 punch, sometimes, well, it's just a little boost you need just to get over your opponent's attack. So just 1. Sometimes it surprises them too because nobody runs it. Next, I run 1 Clown Ragyo. What this Ragyo does is it's a global 500 booster, and it has the ability that you can pay 1 and rest this card and choose one character with the marker, and it gains a 2,500 power for the turn. So it's really good because there's a lot of cards in here I run with the counter, and sometimes you need that extra boost to get over something, or if you're calculating your opponent's the punch, like if you know their deck runs like a 3-5 punch or something, if you're trying to get out of the range, it's a really good card to boost your cards to get out of there. So just one of her. Next, I run 3 of the Ready-Made Nui. Really good card to have, because if you have 2 or more characters with cloth or clothes, she gains a 1k. And she has a damage on core ability, so if you need like field presence, you can just have her there. So if you have 2 cloth characters, she'll be a 5-5, boosted 6-5. And like if you play climax that turn, you can probably get it up to 7-5. It's a pretty good card to have. It also comes in for free, so like you don't even have to pay anything. So yeah, it's good to have. Good for field presence and stuff. Next, I run 3 of the Junketsu event. Really good. You look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you add 1 character with clothes from it, and then put the remaining cards in the graveyard. Really good. It's free. You get to look through your deck for maybe a card you need, or the top 4, maybe you needed one of those 4, or maybe you just want to like throw out cards so you can like refresh or something. But like it's really good, and it combos with other stuff I'll show you right now. So next, I run 3 of this Battle Scar Satskey. She also comes in for free, and her ability is she gains 1,500 for every marker under her, or if there is a marker under her. And when she comes into play, you can look for 1 Junketsu in your waiting room and put it under this card as a marker. So, you know, Junketsu under her as a marker. So now she becomes instead of being 4-5, she becomes 6. Boosted, she becomes 7. With the climax 8. It's a good beater. And then like if you have the clown Ragyo, you can get her up to high numbers. So good card. So next, I run 4 of the level 1 climax combo Ragyo, which combos with like a bunch of stuff from the deck. So her ability is when she has a marker under her, she gains a level and the 2k power. So you can also try to evade level 1 suiciders with this, and you can get her up to pretty high numbers and levels. So her ability is, when she comes into play, you can choose one of these Battle Scar Satskis and take one of the Junketsu, one of the markers under her. So sometimes, you know, you just play that, put a marker under the Junketsu under her, and then just steal it with Ragyo for fun. Because then she becomes a level 2 at 8k, boosted 9k. And then if you give her the boost from the 4 climaxes. So real quick, this climax, it's what you use to activate her climax combo. What it does is it lets you draw a card, give something 2k1 soul. So potentially if you give it to her and you get your Satskey counter offer, she can become she can become huge. She can become like 13. Because if you give her the boost and then you get, oh, and then her final thing is when she declares an attack. So if you don't have any stock left after you pay and stuff, don't worry about it. You can attack with something else and then pay from that stock. But you can pay 1 and choose 1 character with cloth or clothes from your graveyard and put it under this card as a marker. So if you take 1 marker off the Satskey, you give her the boost, you use your climax ability, and it's boosted, it can hit up to like 13k. And it becomes level 3. And then it goes back down to like 11. It's really good. It can also become a wall. And then if you have the clown Ragyo too, you can give her a boost. And most of the times when I use her effect, I usually choose level 0 cloth characters just so they don't get like reshuffled into the deck. Or maybe like cards I don't want to draw into, so they'll just be under her. So like less damage you take. Really good. Next, we run level 2s. So for level 2, I run this Satskey Drinking Tea Punch. It has the ability that when you play it, you get to draw a card and discard a card. So that's always nice. And you give one of your characters with close 3/5 power or 3,500 boost. Really good to have. Punch, you get a draw. It's good. Alright, let's see. Next, we run 3 of this chibi Satsuki promo thing. What she does is when she comes into play, she comes in for 1. You get to, if you want, it's not a mandatory effect. You can discard 1, pay 1, and search your library for 1 character with cloth and add it to your hand. This card is really good because late game, you can get your level 3s. Maybe you want to get that clown Ragyo I was talking about, or you want to get like something, maybe like you have a bunch of zeros, or you want to get like have more bigger support on the field. So it helps you deck search and get the card you need, unless it's not in your deck, but that's luck based. Alright, real quick, the other climaxes I run are 2 books. It's one give, you know, when you play it, you give everybody 1k, 1 soul, and it's a book, so obviously when you trigger it, you draw. And then next, I like running 2 of these Satskey Screaming 2 climax combo. Not even climax combo, it's just a climax. But what it does is it gives all your characters +2 soul. It's really good when you've fallen behind on like damage, or you just want to damage rush, especially in the beginning. Like sometimes when you play this in the beginning, you can make your opponent go up to like some absurd like damage or something. It's just a catch-up card, or you can just play it whenever you want. So next you run this level 2 Nani, sorry. You guys will get the joke. But she comes in for 2 soul, level 2. But she has the ability whenever you have 2 or more characters with cloth, and it's other as well, you get to it gets a discard encore. But whenever this card is placed from the stage to from the waiting room, what is it? No, from the stage to the waiting room. So whenever it like dies, because when you play encore, technically that too. When these cards die, all the markers go to the graveyard. So remember that. But technically, when they get reversed, they technically go to the graveyard. So that's why you play encore to bring it back. So you can play her discard encore or pay 3 if you don't have any close characters. But if you do pay the encore and bring her back, you can put the top card of your deck under this card as a marker, and she gains 2k power. So, like, you know, that clown Ragyo I said earlier, once you activate her effect and she's at 10, and then you play the clown Ragyo effect, since she also is a global 500, you basically are going to give this a 3k boost, so she can hit up for 13. And since she has encore, as long as your opponent doesn't have anything that, like, you know, throws your stuff into the damage, or they get removed or something, then they just kill it. You can just keep bringing it back. It's a really good solid card to have. Next, we run 2 of this level 3 Satskey. So, her ability is if you have 3 or more of the Hanoji Academy climaxes, she gains -1 level in your hand, but I don't run that, so I don't use her for that effect. Usually I use it for the heal effect, because when she comes in, you get to heal. And also, when she comes in, you get to get one of those June Ketsu events, these from the graveyard, and put her under this card as a marker. So, she will become, what is it, like a 10-5 beater that heals. And if you have that clown Ragyo again, even higher. But yeah, I run 2 just for the heal. Next, we run 3 of these level 3 newies. So her ability is if all the characters on your field are cloth, she gains a 2k boost. Sadly, since the level 0 Mako is family, if you have her in the back, you won't get the boost. But sometimes if you just have like Clown Ragyo, if you have nothing in the back, she gains a 2k boost, which is not bad. But she has a pretty good effect. When she comes into play, you can choose one of your opponent's level 2 or lower characters and put it into the waiting room, and then they choose one level 0 or lower character and put it onto the slot that the character was in. So the reason this is good is if your opponent doesn't have any level 0 characters, they don't get anything back in return, because her first effect activates, which is to send that card to the graveyard, and then they get the 0. So if your opponent has no level 0s, they don't get anything in return. So that's a really dirty thing to do. Also, since it's 2 or lower, it doesn't really specify where it has to be. Sometimes your opponent will have like level boosters in the back, so you might want to get rid of them. They can obviously get a level 0 5k booster, but like sometimes that really does matter. Or if your opponent has some level 2 that becomes huge, or something annoying with like Encore or something, you can just throw it away and just attack with it. Or if you have some other level lower attack things, they can attack into the 0. Really good. So that's it for the deck profile. We'll bring you guys more deck profiles eventually. But yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching.